All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessing, salutation. Hopefully, they got there pushing His word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners who may have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. All right, and what I want to get into today, okay, this morning is dealing with the spiritually mature, okay, because salvation is for the spiritually mature, okay, because as we can see, as the Lord calls certain things to happen, you know, and you see the reaction amongst those that know that they're Israelites, and you realize, all right, there is not a lot of Israelites that's really mature when it comes to faith, when it comes to understanding. Okay, when it comes to knowing what they're a part of, they're not mature. Okay, they still, okay, are at the same level they were when they first found out they was Israelites. Okay, there's been no growth, you know. So there's a lot of Israelites that this whole time they've been here, all right, they've really not been rooted in any true belief system, in any doctrine. That's why it's so, that's why the doctrine can change and they remain because they're not mature. Okay, they're not rooted in the doctrine, so the doctrine can change any given day, any hour. See, the midst of during the live stream, the doctrine can change. Okay, from precept to precept, the doctrine can change because it's a lot of Israelites that's not rooted. Okay, there's a lot of men and women that know that they're Israelites, but they're not rooted in any belief. They're not rooted in any doctrine. They're not rooted in any conduct. They don't have any expectation. As Yahweh Shai establishing the throne of David in the earth. Okay, and it shows through their reaction to certain events that the Lord, has to happen. Now, when you go to 1 Corinthians 13 and 11, when I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood as a child, and I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. Because we all came into this thing as a child. Okay, we all come in as a child. And then scriptures, first, let's go here. Let's get St. John. We all go through that phase of being children in this thing. Okay? But as we come in as children, we're expected to grow. Okay? We're expected to mature. All right? We all came in this thing childish, worldly, westernized, not knowing really what it was, and, being a parrot, and, but then as we toil in this thing and we get tried and we have to make sacrifices just like an adult, okay, in the world would do. Okay? People become adults through trials. Okay? Trials bring you into adulthood. Okay? Having to handle things on your own, having to make preparations before things go bad. Okay? The self-discipline, okay, to maintain your situation. Okay? Adults become adults through what? Experience, through trial. Not just based off of age. Okay? Because there's a lot of people who are the age of legal adults, but they don't have the maturity, they don't have the mindset of adults because they don't have those trials. Okay, they haven't been through those trials. You see, so in this faith, we come in as newborn babes. As you go into John 3:3, it says, Yahweh Shai answered and said unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of the Most High. So part of the process is us becoming newborn babes. We start over from scratch. Okay, and then we begin to mature. And in order to start over from scratch, you got to do away with everything, every perspective, okay, that we thought was right in the world. We got to rethink everything. The truth should make us question everything we was taught, okay, and examine and scrutinize everything that we was taught, man. We shouldn't want nothing of that old man, all right, to transfer into the new man. Okay, because that old man had a lot of unwanted qualities, man. Even things, there was decent qualities we had of the old man. Okay, we even, hey, we visit them and redo them in righteousness, man. We fine tune those things in righteousness, man. Okay, so the first phase is being born again. All right, and then you go to Matthew chapter 18, okay, verse 3, and it says, I started two. It says, and Yahushua called a little child unto him. And I started at one. It says, at the same time came the disciples unto Yahushua, saying, who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And Yahushua called a little child unto him and set him in the midst of them and said, verily I say unto you, except ye be converted and become as a little child, you shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. Okay? So we have to go through being born again, becoming a little child. Okay, because we're born again, we start from scratch. We become a child because a child is eager to learn. And a child can learn a lot. Children learn a lot, in their younger years, man. There's a lot that you can teach a child because they're eager to learn. Okay, they're eager, all right, to grow. Okay, they're eager to understand more. You see, they don't hold grudges. You see, so as we come in as spiritual children, we come in as spiritual children, okay, for the sake of growth in this thing, man. Okay, so this is the phases that we go through. All right, you see, Jake want to come in and go straight to the top. They want to skip the development. Okay, that's why you have niggas on the comment board that don't do anything, that just commentate. Okay, they haven't grown. They don't know what they're a part of. They're just on the sideline commentating because they just want to be seen, heard, and involved without going through the phase of growing, without being born again, without being like a little child. Okay, so we can grow. All right, we can properly develop into spiritual adults. Okay, and that's why it's a lot of Jakes still offended at particular things because they didn't go through the proper development. Okay, Jake is trying to, make the truth make sense with the rational. Okay, with the rationale of the old man, the perspective of the old man. Jake is constantly offended. The nigga woman trying to drag feminism into the truth, while she's constantly offended. Okay, you're not gonna. Hey, the Lord not coming, to save the immature, man. All right, the Lord gave us the truth with the expectation of growth, just as you expect your child to grow. You don't expect your child, okay, at, at 10 years old to be doing things a 2-year old will be doing. All right, your child at 8-year old to be doing the thing a newborn baby will be doing. You expect growth. So how much more does the Heavenly Father expect growth from us? Okay? So we have been given, the format, for us to grow in this thing. Okay? I'm saying growth is expected. That's why you go here to 1 Peter 2. Okay? And 1, it says, wherefore laying aside all malice and all guile, deceit. And Jake is full of deceit, just like the neighborhood. When you around Jake, it's like you back in the neighborhood. Okay, when you listen to these men teach, you got to be on guard and high alert like you around, all right, niggas in the neighborhood. Cause Jake still come with their deception, their craft. Okay, why? Because they didn't go through the proper, all right, phases of development. Okay, and they're still spiritually immature. They never grew spiritually. Yeah, their following grew, their bank accounts grew, their notoriety grew. Okay, but they didn't grow spiritually, man, and it shows. It's very immature to be teaching false doctrine, man, especially in this time. That's very immature. That's very irresponsible to just switch and change up the doctrine when you have people following you. That's what the children would do. Okay, it's like the ringleader. on the playground at recess. All right, and he would just lead everyone into complete failure. Everybody in trouble because of this nigga. Okay, that's what a child would do. A child is just infatuated with being the leader, not understanding the responsibilities of a leader. Okay, just like spiritually, immature women, they want the perks of a wife, but they don't want the responsibilities and the discipline of a wife. Okay, this is not for the spiritually immature. You know, that's why the Lord has us isolated in particular situations because He's maturing us for what's next. Okay, so going back here, it says, "Wherefore, laying aside all malice and all guile and hypocrisies and envies and all evil speaking, as newborn babes desire the sincere milk of the word, that ye may grow thereby." That we may grow thereby. Okay? So the Lord expects growth. You see, in the sincere milk is the beginning phase of this thing, really to accept the milk. When you try to jump over, the phase of the milk, when you try to skip over being born again, and you try to just add this new wisdom, all right, to that old way of thinking, putting, new wine in old bottles, you burst. You explode because these two, it's like a chemical reaction. All right, the truth and that old man that don't mix is a chemical reaction. You try to contain both, you explode. To now where you're worse a predicament than where you were when you first started, man. You know? So let's go here. Let's finish this here, man, and bring it back full circle in 1 Corinthians 13 and 11 says, "When I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things, man." And the Lord has us becoming men in this truth and this understanding, man. So where we put away childish things, man. Okay? We put away a childish mindset. Okay? And we take on the mindset of spiritual men. Okay? Understanding what we're a part of. Understanding what the Lord is doing in real time. Okay? You see? Understanding, the responsibility of this truth, man. Understanding that aspect of it, man. Okay? So the Lord has us maturing, all right, for the next phase, which is salvation, man. Okay? Not for people that's, you know, been around and not grown and don't care to grow. Okay? Being mature has us nation minded. It ain't about us, it has us being selfless, not selfish. Okay? So we're becoming, all right, spiritually mature for the sake of salvation, man. Okay? That's whom Yahweh Shai is coming back to get. Okay? You still stuck in them old ways and you think, the truth is supposed to conform to your emotions, and that's a child. Okay? And the Lord not dealing with that, man. Okay? So Lord will, the sincere brothers, all right, you sincere sisters, man, continue to mature in this thing, understanding what we're a part of. Okay, being fully persuaded and rooted in the correct doctrine and the correct belief, man. So that's the point. Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters, okay, we're edified once again. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Kakadash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessing, salutations to the hopeful elect Shalom.